ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, everything in between. Welcome back to CSS. It's round 5 of PC Tier 1. And we're here for the Mystery Grand Prix. But it's a mystery for most of you. The drivers are currently out on track setting their first runs. But I can reveal to you now that the track that the drivers are traversing tonight is Autodromo Jose Carlos Pache. It is the Sao Paulo circuit, the Brazilian Grand Prix, 4.309 miles, 3 sectors and 15 corners. One of my personal favourites, and one that should really be the season finale in the real life F1 because of the dramatic races that we've had here in the past. Lewis Hamilton in 2008, Sebastian Vettel in 2012. And it's a stage that has been set for the drivers. We've got all 20 here tonight. Most of them are on their first runs. They're setting laps. And Polkis comes across the line with a 106.7. It's a statement of intent early on. Lucas Beisner comes across the line, but Tope goes faster. Polkis drops to second. All of the drivers slotting in the lower 106s. The higher 106s, the lower 107s. So far, with the 8 drivers that have come across the line to set their time, B. Lupit becoming the 9th to do so. Mark Schluter up to the line. It's going to be a 106.9. That's going to put him in 3rd position. And Christian Lyubanov goes into P13, the last of the runners. Gabriele Protesi, I believe, invalidated on that lap, so he will not be up there with the 106s, even though that is the time that he set. Tristan Derbicourt is going to come into the pits, so his time is not going to count. Harry Nunn's now the latest driver to come to the line. 15th place is what he holds at the moment. That's because he hasn't set a time up to the line. Harry Nuns is going to go 107.5, just about outside of those 106s, the precious 106s, that at the moment in these early runs looks like the time to be setting, with Tope on pole position. Provisionally 106.687 is the benchmark. Polkis, to be fair, the first driver to come across the line to set a time, and he was instantly competitive with it. He was only 4/10 off Tope, who was on, I was going to say on the Tope. Can I really pull that one out this early on? We'll see. We'll see if I use that later. That's like a half use. Yeah. First runs are complete. 13 minutes on the timer. And we've got Tope on provisional pole. Quite a few drivers not setting times early on. Givadar just coming out of the pits now, as is Fabian Marksteiner and Lighty. And Jeremy Galonier hasn't actually come out the pits at all so far. I think he's only just coming out now. So, a little bit more background, by the way. We are using the My Team cars. Not many leagues are using the My Team cars. It gives us, a little bit of a unique selling point, especially. Well, it helps that the drivers have the team names next to them. So the FVR driver of top 8 is on top. Sixten Linhart making it a good first run for FVR, although the drivers are out for their second runs. So we'll see what they're going to be capable of. I think 106.6 is going to be a competitive time. I don't think it's going to be the quickest that we're going to see all session, especially this year. The track evolution has been absolutely mental. Where, especially at Brazil, where towards the end of the session you could see 5/10, almost a whole second cut off. And we're actually going to watch. Let's watch on board with Jeremy Galonier as he sets his first lap of this session. We've got no game audio. Give me a second. You should have game audio now if I unmute it. Oh, we don't. Why on earth not? That's fine. Anyway, we will watch on board with Jeremy Galonier as he heads out of the Centre S's and down to Descida de Lago. It's the first DRS straight, the first full DRS straight of the lap. There's a few, but this is the section where you really need to gain the most time. It's the S's, the second S's, where you can really, really lose so much time. Lockups into any of the corners. Jeremy getting a little bit of a lockup into that one. You just need to use the curbing as much as possible. Lock up as little as you can. And, well, easier said than done. But Jeremy's doing it all right so far. A little bit of a lockup into the first one and a wobble using the curbing on the second one means that he is not going to be setting a valid lap on this occasion. And that will increase the pressure because neither of the ZNT guys have set a time so far. Pulkis goes quickest of all. A 106.653 means that Top A is toppled. Sorry. Sixten Linhart goes into third place in the meantime with a 106.7. I'm just going to bring up the chat for a second. 6.6 is already top 5. I mean, I don't disagree with that one necessarily. I think that could be... It could be a pretty strong time. However, well, Pulkis has already gained, what, a 10th out of that. We're watching Sixten Linhart set his lap. No, this is in lap, sorry. Who else can we watch? Mark Schlutter. He came across the line. Tristan Derbecourt's not improving. Jay Kennedy is one who I'm expecting big things of. Based on reputation pretty much alone, 106.9 is the time that he's got so far. He's coming up to the second sector split time. Most of them have got black cars on the minimap, which is making it difficult to navigate, but he's 3.5 seconds off. Kryzix, is he going to come up to the line or is he going to come into the pits? It's hard to tell because they all look like they're going to come into the pits, but I think he actually is. Because cutting across the pit lane is pretty much the only way you can gain time. Passey's improving. There we go. There's somebody on a lap. And that's somebody who needs to improve if he wants to match his teammate, really. Lighty went up with a 106.7. He went up into 5th place. Passey's in 13th at the moment. He's 5/10ths off his teammate. But he's improving by over a 10th. Across the line, Passey is going to set a time. It's going to be a 107.162. 107 isn't cutting it today, to be completely frank. And, yeah, you're just needing something to... you need something in this lap. You need a 106 at the very minimum. The top 9 have already breached that. Kryzix, Bilupip, and Lucas Beisner have come very close to it. Gino's looking to be the latest driver to break that gap, to break that precious 106. He's improving by 3/10ths. He's got 4 to find to join the 06 club, and it's just keep the throttle to the floor as he comes round the final corner, cuts across the pit line. Gino sets a time of a 107.049. Again, another driver to come close. Some fast times. Absolutely, we have tonight. And with 7 minutes left on the session, with the track evolution, as it has been through this year's game cycle, I think we could be seeing times drop a couple of tenths. I think 106.4. The likelihood is that would be a very competitive time, but the likelihood is that would be almost a definite pole position. Top A heading up to the top of the standings once again, a 106.6, and it seems to be a battle at the moment between himself and Pulkis. The FVR and the CPI guys are quick, and we'll have to wait and see what happens with them throughout the race, but teamwork will be employed if they are indeed up there. Gabriele Protesi up to the line to set his first time, and he splits the two teammates from the two teams. The ABS driver goes into third place. 106.6. It's a quality time, but from the looks of things, it's becoming the norm with all of these. Who's that coming up to the line? Lucas Beisner to start his lap. It's hard to keep track of. I'm sure I'll have a better look at it in the race. Tim Tornamo improving minimally. as he comes around the final corner by under a tenth. And he needs to find something in this final sector to set a competitive time. That was Tristan Derbacourt jumping up to a 106.9. Tim Tornamo missing out 107.0 is the time that he sets. Pulkis is improving, and if he keeps his current trajectory, which he should do because he's just keeping that throttle down, he's going to come up to the line. This should be provisional pole position stolen back off top A. Indeed it is. He's found almost double the time in that final sector somehow to pull a lap of a 106.5. The times are tumbling, but not for CZK, who's not going to come across the line with an improvement. Tristan Derbacourt, 106.777. He's impressing. Mark Schluter is improving into the final sector, and up to the line is where he's going to come. This is going to be his penultimate run. What sort of time is he going to set? It's going to be a 106.7. Where has he found that time from? He heads up into 5th place. Harry Nuns isn't improving. Lucas Beisner, though, he is. No, he's not anymore. Nor's Jay Kennedy. And they're on their in-laps. My apologies there. Jividar, he's going to set a time of a 107.2. That's a very minimal improvement. He's up into 8th place. Everybody's pretty much set a representative lap time, barring Christian Lubinov, who currently sits P25, tenths off Fabian Markstein. And we're going to take this little moment, this moment of not silence. No one's dead. Well, I'm sure someone is, but not related to this race. We're going to take this moment to try and fix the audio. My sincerest apologies for that. How's that? Nope. Not working? Doesn't fancy it? That one? Nope, not that one either. Okay, brilliant. I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do audio input capture. Can I do an app? I can do an app. Application audio capture. Why haven't I considered that? That's what I'll do. Very sorry about this. Application audio capture. F124. Do we have race audio? No. Again, we don't have race audio. You just got a glimpse of my screensaver there. That's exciting. 4th wall break and all that. Where is it? Because there's not much I can do because I've clicked F124 as an audio input. Have I got it now? I hope so. Another thing's popped up, so I'm hoping... Yes! Oh, yes! Brilliant. And just in time for the final runs of all the drivers. Christian Lubinov coming across the line. Passy, whose time we initially thought was good. He's down in P17. Kryzix has invalidated his lap. He may be preparing for that final run. I am just going to bring up Twitch chat. Not Twitch chat. Chat once again. So I can see. What? What? I'm not a technology guy. How's that? Is that better? Is that better? Oh, is the sound gone again? Don't tell me it's gone. Anyway, I'm not a technological guy. I just talk a lot, and I like hearing other people hearing me talk. Jay Kennedy's coming up to the line. He's going to start his lap. Just trying to find. I can imitate the sound of the engines if you like. Right, Mark Schluter, he is getting ready for his lap. Sixten Linhart is improving. That was a weird sound the engine made. It was just like a low growl. It was a... He's come up top A. In the meantime, 106.389. Sorry, I'm getting distracted. I'm trying to do about 5 things at once. Top 8 goes up to the top of the timing screens, 106.389. And he improves his time. Sixten Linhart up to the line now. It's going to be a 106.7. The checkered flag is waved. He is the first driver to officially have his session called. Pulkis isn't improving in the second sector. But he needs to find something. He needs to find anything. 1.4 seconds. No, 0.14 seconds is the target. 1.4 tenths is what I meant to say. That's his target. He's going to come up to the second sector split time. He needs something. Passy retires after a 107.0. Jay Kennedy retires 106.9 is his time. Christian Lubinov retires after not setting a particularly competitive time. Pulkis, purple in the second sector. What sort of time can he pull out up to the line? Pulkis needs to beat a 106.389. That's the benchmark. He can't quite do it. 106.453. He's not beaten it. And so top A will most likely be on provisional pole. That's if, well, Gabriele is going to come into the pit. Sixten Linhart isn't improving. So top A does top the timesheets. Pole position for the FVR driver. Second and third for the CPIs. And in the end, Sixten Linhart, who looked so quick on that first stint, just couldn't hook it up. He starts down in 8th place. So, well, a very close grid that we have on our hands. And, well, personally, I'm definitely excited. We've got top A on pole position. Pulkis in second, under a tenth behind that. Then it's CZK, Pratesi, Derbacourt, Beisner, Schluter, Linhart, Lighty, and Golonier. You can see from Derbacourt to Golonier, there's less than a tenth. That's 5th down to 10th place. Then it's Harry Nuns, Jay Kennedy, Passy, Kryzix, Gino Bilupip, Tim Tornamo, Fabian Marksteiner, Jivadar, and Christian Lubinov is going to round out the grid. I'm going to quickly sort out the tech issues. I'm going to try and sort out the tech issues. I will be back in time for the green flag. In the meantime, get your race predictions in, and I'll try to discuss them when I come back. I'll give you should work. I need something to make a noise to demonstrate that it does work. But we should be fine, hopefully. Tech support was with me in the break. But from the looks of things, we're all readying up now. We're getting ready for the 5 lights here around Brazil. I'm very disappointed in you all. You haven't made your race predictions. So there's not much I can talk about. Top A, I think, probably is a popular choice with that ridiculous lap. But it's something that we're just going to have to wait and see as we head to the 5 lights here in Brazil. Sorry for the tech issues, by the way. I am not the most technically literate. I've also turned streamer mode on in Discord, so that's good. We're not going to have any issues with that as we go into the race, where Ace is pinging me 50 times, telling me that something else has gone wrong. But yeah, I'm a big fan of the Brazilian Grand Prix circuit. I think I mentioned this. I think I touched on this earlier. I'm going to touch on it again. Yeah, 15 corners, 4.30, 9 kilometers, and 2 DRS zones. It's very much a high-speed circuit. You have to take as well. Everywhere is pretty much the highest minimum speed you possibly can do. And that can make for some exciting racing. That can draw mistakes out of drivers as well. As we didn't see much of, actually, in qualifying. We just saw drivers invalidating their laps. Penalties could come into play at the end of the race. They won't be pushing us up, but it's, well, we'll have to wait and see. I'm sure we will get drivers pushing that hard. With the way that qualifying went, the grid is going to be incredibly close together. I'm going to switch back to that one now. The grid is going to be incredibly close together, which is not something that's been represented so far this season in the standings. You've got TF10 up top, but 6th and 12th for them in qualifying doesn't represent how good they have been all season long. 189 points sees them top the standings. 69 points, nice, ahead of NLR in 2nd. But we're going to go to the 5 lights. Why is it paused? For the Brazilian Grand Prix, it's lights. And it's action. We are away in Brazil. Tope gets a good start. Tries to cover off Pulkis, who's going to go to the inside of turn 1. Pulkis trying to fight his way through. But Tope looking to hold on around the outside. He just can't. Pulkis gets the better launch off the line. And he takes that first place. Up the hill, though, Tope heading into Tecida de Largo. Retakes the lead of this Grand Prix. And they're all trying to filter through. With Tope in the lead of this pack. It's too wide behind with Givadar and Jeremy Galonier. Givadar comes out on top of that battle. There's a 3-wide moment up ahead. Tristan Derbacourt caught up in it. He's fallen behind Lucas Beisner. He's behind Mark Schluter as well. Looking to re-overtake that move on the ET8 driver. He can't, but Lucas Beisner's had a moment, and that's seen him run wide. 8th place for Lucas Beisner is where he drops down to. It could be P9 if Kreisitz has any say in it. He doesn't for the time being. But in this first lap, at the end of it, the leader is Tope. Pulkis trying to come through, looking very, very large in the rear wing of that FBR car and wanting to make that overtake as soon as he can.
right behind as well as Sixten Linhart is Tristan Derbacourt, whose start was, well, we can have a look at how his start went mathematically. Lost 2 positions of the beginning. Kryzik's the biggest winner, 5 places. Although, in the meantime, Pulkis, he's the biggest winner of this lap at least, retaking the lead of the race from top 8. And heading up. And quite significantly as well, 5 tenths is a big gap to hold at this point in the race. And, well, he's going to look to extend that gap. DRS will be available to top 8 for the second time as they head down to the main straight. Pulkis had it the first time. I think it is actually the first time that it has been available to top 8 this race as they come around the final corner. DRS is going to be open in the beautiful pink car, but it's also going to be open in that blue car behind of CZK. Top 8 dives. CZK dives. Gabriele Pratesi dives as well to the inside. And Pulkis from the lead of the race. He drops to P3. It could be P4, but it's side by side for the lead of the race. CZK gets through. Top 8 drops down into P2. Gabriele finally makes that move he's been trying to force for a couple of corners now ahead of Pulkis. Right behind, it looked like Mark Schluter was going to try to race Pulkis. He's not quite close enough. Why is the camera so janky? But he sent it to the inside of Pulkis. Pulkis diving late and managing to hold on, and now into the grasp of Mark Schluter. Goes Sixten Linhart. It's a 3-car battle. Schluter to the inside. Linhart tries to take the position, and he's going to seal it, pushing Mark Schluter wide on the exit. Lucas Beissner invites himself into this battle now as Pulkis pulls away, and it's side by side. Beissner and Schluter. Now it's Schluter and Derbacourt, and Beissner and Linhart, but it's a switch again at the top as well as Gabriele Pratesi gets through side by side. Linhart and Beissner, 5th and 6th is being contested for, but Schluter back in it. These 3 can't decide who wants that P5, who wants that P6, and who wants that P7. 3 wide momentarily into Desida de Lago. Schluter is the victor of the battle, but the war is not over. Side by side as well, just behind Jay Kennedy and Tristan Derbacourt. Jay Kennedy getting ahead. P9 is his, and that's diving to the inside. Who's that? Tristan coming back at Jay, but he just doesn't quite have the momentum. The line is compromised, and Harry Nuns tries to come in. One mistake could cost you a position. One ambitious dive could cost you a move. And that's exactly what Tristan Derbacourt is feeling right now. Harry Nuns to the inside of the final corner. And that is P10 for the NLR driver. Tristan trying to get that slipstream back, that switchback move done. But P11 is where he's going to have to settle for the time being. Looking back up at the top, Gabriele Pratesi takes the lead of this race ahead of top 8. He's been the one that's been consistently up, though. Those top 4 are demonstrating pace early on that nobody else has been able to match, although Mark Schluter, to be fair to him, is breaking away a little bit from Lucas Beissner, considering how close they were a couple of laps ago. Kryzik's still the biggest winner of this race so far, starting in P14. He's up into P8. I'm going to take this moment to turn the game audio down quite significantly before we get back into it. That may be too significant. Is that better? I'm hoping it is. But Gabriele Pratesi, I'd say he's been the biggest winner. Although Kryzik has gained 6 positions, Gabriele, he's gained 3 huge positions. He's in the lead of this race, and top 8 right behind him. He will feel as though this is his race to lose, even though Gabriele is on top. I'm not going to use that line. It keeps coming to the tip of my tongue. But it's just not coming out. Top 8 diving to the inside line of turn 1. Big lock up though. Invites Gabriele back into it. But Top 8 somehow clinging on to the lead of the race as they head down the second straight, the second DRS zone. Mark Schluter was right behind CZK. Gabriele Pratesi was right behind Top 8. Then he pulled out. Then he took the lead. Pulkis and Mark Schluter is developing into a battle to watch. Pulkis to the inside line. This would be a very, very tight move if he's able to do it, forcing Mark Schlutter wide to give Pulkis space. And he is through. Schlutter with a wobble on the exit, but he's invited himself back into the battle. He had a wobble, he made a mistake, but Pulkis didn't make him pay as much as he possibly could. So Mark Schlutter could be back in this battle as soon as the next corner, if he so desires. Just having a look, but deciding against it. The main straight beckons for the drivers for the 7th time in this race. And it's all of the drivers within the DRS range. All of the drivers, barring Gabriele, who are going to be opening their rear wings. And Tope takes the lead off of the McLaren once again. Gonna have a look at the tyres. Tope's on hards. Tope is on the hard compound tyres, and he's still incredibly competitive. That is something special to see. The fact that at the moment the mediums will be the fastest tyre. Tope, incredible start from him. And even though he was behind Protesi, he's now gotten back ahead with the DRS. The hards, being competitive in these early stages, you'd expect them to start fading in around now, start getting competitive. But Tope's been on it since lap 1. So I find it very difficult to imagine that he's going to fumble this race. A one-stopper is on for him. It's on for pretty much everybody, because everybody has started on the mediums or the hards, apart from the EVE guys, who are down in P15 and P17. Givadar, the only driver that isn't in the lead of the race without DRS. We could see another switch for the lead of the race. Speaking of, here as Gabriele tries to close in on Tope. He's not quite close enough. What's happened to Givadar in the meantime? That's a front wing flying. He's around, and that's pretty much half a front wing off. He's going to come into the pits. Is the EVE driver, and that's probably the end of his competitive running with how tight the grid is, unless there's going to be some sort of disruption. And hey, it's league racing. Disruption is pretty much a constant. Whether it's a safety car, whether it's somebody spinning around, getting in your way, trying to fight you when they're lapped down. Obviously, we haven't got anyone a lap down here, but we have got drivers splitting gaps now. Gino is 2 seconds off Passy. That's P16 and P17. Everyone above that, barring Bilupip, has DRS. So it's sort of the top 14 have established themselves as a little peloton. Someone else to watch out for as well, Sixten Linhart. He's on the hards in the middle, in the midst of that battle. Who's that coming into the pits? Is that Pulkis? It is indeed. The CPI driver pulls the trigger. In he comes on lap 9 of this race. But now we saw Givadar switch onto the mediums. That was a forced stop. This is an unforced stop onto the hard compound tyres. Pulkis will look to take these to the end of the race, most likely, unless he feels that a 2-stop strategy is viable. Although, of course, it's not only him deciding that. They will have a team of people who have discussed the strategy beforehand, whether it's strategists, whether it's between the drivers. Who knows? Because all these teams are set up in very, very different ways. We've got, well, the 2 teams on top at the moment are ET8 and CPI, although FBR could be just waiting. I know Sixten Linhart is only in 5th place, so he's not too far off. No, what was I talking about, ET8? Because you've got Fabian Mucksteiner in P16. Sorry, I meant FBR. Sixten Linhart and Tope, who are on the hards. CZK is going to come in as well. So this is clearly a strategy that's been defined for CPI. Hards most likely are going to go on for him. And then that will be... I'm actually going to keep on board with him because I want to see where he comes out in relation to Pulkis. Pulkis is coming around the final corner now, although it is a flat-out one. It's the longest pit straight, or it's the longest pit exit on the calendar, and CZK is traversing it now. Pulkis is heading out of the center S's. They've both got the power down. Who has the power down better? It looks like CZK was able to get it down a little bit earlier. Pulkis in P19, CZK P18. And that is a battle that will develop. This is a battle that's been developing for a while. Tristan Derbacourt and Harry Nuns off the track goes Nuns. There's a spinner behind. That was Jeremy Galonier who's gone around. He's dropped a position to Passy. It's side by side, Lighty and Harry Nuns. Lighty sticking behind, but Jeremy just getting caught up because through the S's you can barely go one driver wide, let alone 2 or 3, let alone the 5 drivers that were trying to fit into such a small space. Lighty gets past Harry Nuns with DRS. Kryzix gets past Jay Kennedy with DRS, and Passy heads in to the pit. So clearly these mediums aren't working like the drivers want them to, and that's demonstrated by the fact that first and fourth, the 2 FVR drivers, Tope and Sixten Linhart, I know they qualified well, which is the main reason they are up there, but the hards just seem to be working so much better for a lot of the drivers. Tope, Linhart, Derbacore, even Galonier before his spin was looking racy. So they are definitely the more active race tyre. We'll see what happens towards the end where they start to wear off a little bit more. But for now, that's the tyre to be on. And it's been recognised by CPI. It's been recognised by Passy. And I'm sure, well, Lighty started actually on the hard compound tyres, splitting the strategy for the team. Of course, with the My Team cars, the biggest issue that we face is that the drivers, they are unable to pick their teammate in the pit box, so they could be double stacking at any point. And Jay Kennedy will be hoping he's not double stacking behind Lucas Beisness. Harry Nuns will also be hoping the same. They're all into the pits. It is a really early stop, but I'm not surprised at all by the fact that it's a really early stop. Those mediums are not working for any of the drivers, barring maybe Gabrielli, who's been able to activate them. Everybody else not really at the race. Mark Schluter as well, I guess, but that was more through making gutsy moves, being willing to go side by side with people, being willing to gamble. That's the reason he's up there. Gabrielli, he had a great start. He had a great launch off the line, and he's combined that with some sensible DRS chicken playing with Tope to just see him into second place. And it's a comfortable second place. It's a comfortable top 4 at the moment. 2 seconds back to Kryzix in 5th. And everyone has actually split quite significantly. Schluter not coming into the pits. Protesi, though, is. So even though I said that those mediums were working for him, he's dispatching of them. The hards are going to come out. CZK has actually caught up 5 seconds behind Christian Lubinov. 2 seconds on that previous lap to the TGF driver. But where is Gabrielli going to come out? The undercut was triggered by CZK and by Pulkis a couple of laps ago. 4 to be exact by Pulkis. 3 for CZK. And it looks like, for the time being, it has paid off. Although Gabrielli is going to come out in the wake of the 2 CPI drivers. So they're going to have to work together to try to fight away from him. Lucas Beisner as well, sticking just about in the DRS. I'm sure he'll be able to find that extra bit of time, because it really does motivate you being just inside the DRS or being just outside the DRS on the contrary, because, well, they can fight their way through. It just gives you that little extra motivation to continue. Mark Schluter, in the meantime, by the way, he's continuing on those medium compound tyres to the inside of top 8 into turn 1. It's a send. Sixten Linhart tries to get involved. Mark Schluter takes the lead of the race. Linhart is behind his teammate as they head out. DRS is going to be available for both the FVR drivers, and I'm sure we'll see them past Mark. Top 8's through. Sixten's through. Although Mark seems to be fighting Sixten a little bit more, but there is not much to fight for. CZK, fastest lap of the race. Another 2 seconds gained on Christian Lubinov ahead of him. And Pulkis and Gabriele Protesi now going side by side. These two are essentially fighting it out for... Well, they're fighting it out. They shouldn't be, because they need to gain time to cover off the overcut that Top 8 and Sixten Linhart and Mark Schluter are going for. It's going to be a significant overcut as well in the case of Top 8 and Linhart, because those hards everyone thinks they can last a long time. Everyone likes to think they can last a long time anyway. But everyone thinks that those hards can last a long time. Schluter into the pits. Mediums are going to be taken off. And he is going to do 21 laps on those hards. That feels like a much more reasonable request of those tyres. But we'll have to wait and see. He's going to come out behind that group. He's going to come out behind that group of drivers. Lupit with the fastest lap of the race on new-ish mediums. He's even going to come out behind Jay Kennedy, possibly. No, he's just ahead of him. We've got manager possibly not very happy with Mark's strategy, which is, well, we'll have to wait and see. He's got new hards, and those tyres are going to last very likely to the end of the race. The others may not, especially in the case of CZK and Pulkis, who were very ambitious, the two TGF drivers swapping positions, but they've been drawn in. Pulkis has passed CZK previously, and so he, with the DRS on Gino, will be looking to fight forward. The two TGF drivers, the last of those who haven't come into the pits yet. And speaking of, Lubinov does duck into the pits. Pulkis has the DRS on Gino, who is now a lone soldier in this battle. A big lock-up into turn 1 won't help his case, and he could get absolutely swarmed heading into Descida de Largo. DRS will be open for Pulkis now as he crosses the line. DRS is open, and he's going to... Well, I was going to say he's going to try to attack, but attack is the best form of defence for Gabriele Pratesi, who sort of boxes CZK in, meaning that he can't make that overtake just because of how quickly the ABS driver just pulled out on him straight away, made his intentions clear, and essentially stated that if you try to fight me, we will crash. That is the statement from Gabriele there, where he's not going to give up his lines. He's right behind Gino, and you'd presume he's going to get past this lap. This is where Gino's going to get swarmed. Further up, Tristan Derbacourt and Lighty keep swapping with the DRS. But DRS will be available for Gabriele Pratesi, who's right on the rear of Gino regardless. He's side by side with Gino. He didn't even need the DRS to get past. Pulkis got past. CZK is passed. And Lucas Beisner a little bit less fortunate, as Gino possibly locked up into the first corner, and there was contact between himself and Beisner, and now he's coming under pressure from Harry Nunn's new tyres. Strapped on for Harry 5 laps to go, and he's up into P13. But this is really the chase for the lead. Gabriele Pratesi, Pulkis, CZK, and Lucas Beisner. Mark Schluter, actually, he's doing all right to get back into that DRS range as well. He's going to try to maintain it. Jay Kennedy and Kryzix have worked their way as well back into the fight for the lead. And it's just a case of waiting to see what Top A and Sixton do. To see what FVR are cooking up as we head into the second half of this race. They are 6 seconds ahead of Tristan Derbacourt. There's another 3 seconds back to Jeremy Goulonier, and then another 7 to the lead pack of the Pitters. Mark Schluter with the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. He stays within the DRS range. Harry Nunn's been overtaken, as has Gino, who's really struggling now, P16, and still needs to come into the pits. We shan't mention the incident, and I'm sure that'll be a case for the stewards after the race. Although it did seem a little bit like netcode, which is something you see more on iRacing than F124. But regardless, there was contact, allegedly, between the two. Lucas, though, hasn't actually fallen foul of it too badly. He's in P9, still within the DRS of CZK, which is a domino effect, because then Pulkis is ahead of him, Gabriele is ahead of him, and that group can just keep pulling each other along like a little invisible string, like the top two have got at the moment, and they're pulling a gap out on Tristan Derbacourt, who's fighting with Lighty, which is helping that gap grow. But at the same time, Top A and Linhart, this is just a perfect team play here. They're going to try and make this strategy work regardless of whether it is the right strategy to be on or not. And whether it is, we're going to wait and see. Kryzik sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix in his pursuit of Jay Kennedy. Mark Schluter as well. 0.2 seconds now behind Lucas Beisner. He is back in this battle, and he's back in this battle with 3 laps younger tyres than the man ahead of him, Beisner, and the man behind him, Kennedy. Even younger than CZK ahead, and Pulkis as well. We could be seeing, as that's a send from Schluter, trying to find a gap to the inside of Beisner. Beisner gave him just enough space, but Schluter didn't get through. Just enough space has been allowed again, and it allows Schluter to go for a send into the second one of the S's. They're still side by side as the exit the S's, and Schluter gets through. Beisner, though, still tagging alongside him, but tucking back in. DRS, I don't think, will be available. Indeed, it is not for Schluter. So that little fight could have cost him. Gabriele Pratesi as well, in the meantime, getting past Pulkis, and we could see him pull away because he's got the younger hard compound tyres. 4 laps can make a big difference, especially if you've been conserving. Jay Kennedy looking to get past Bison as well. DRS is going to be hard to come by for that driver in 9th place, regardless of who it is, whether it's one of the TF10 drivers, whether it's Mark Schluter, or whether it's Kryzik behind. The 9/10 behind, it has been dipping up and down over the last few laps. Was that somebody going for send? Not quite Kryzik. Just informing Mark Schluter that he may have to get a wriggle on at some point soon. Mark trying to get a wriggle on, stuck behind Beisner, who's just about, I think, going to get the DRS down the main straight. 0.98, 0.99 as he crosses the detection line. He will get DRS. They will all get DRS in this battle, and this is pretty much a crucial lap for this battle. Schluter gets past Beisner, but these 3, this is a crucial lap for them, because they could either climb back up inside the DRS of Jay Kennedy, and they will stay solidly in there, or they can keep trying to scrap for it and scrap for positions as well. CZK gets past Pratesi, Kryzik gets past Beisner, and Jay Kennedy gets a 3-second time penalty, which will be added onto his time at the end of the race, and that's not good news for Jay, because with how tight the grid is, with how tight especially his area of the grid is, they're going to struggle. They're really, really going to struggle to... He's going to struggle to pull a gap to the rest. He's going to have to hope that his teammate can help him. If indeed he does fight for the lead, if indeed the strategy for Sixton and Tope doesn't quite work out. They've been swapping DRS the last couple of laps just on and off, and they've managed to build up another second Tristan Derbicourt, despite the lack of fighting between himself and Lighty. It's perfect teamwork. There's not much else you can say about that. For the FVR drivers at the moment, if this is the right strategy, they are absolutely cantering to a win. And you feel that because of the teamwork that they've got together. If they can hook this up right, if they can get the last few laps spot on. What is it with this lag today? It's like the drone's having some sort of attack. But I think drone cam's going to be dead and buried for us, unfortunately, because it's a pretty good camera. I like the helicopter shots. But there we go. We've got 22 laps in to this Grand Prix. This is a round where you would expect one of these drivers to come in. Called it. Tope comes in. And he will be heading in for the medium compound tyres. You can see on his dashboard he's conserved that ERS. He has the younger medium tyres. Jeremy Gallonier comes in as well. He's on the mediums. Everyone else is on older hards, and they're going to remain on older hards for the rest of this race. Tope, he's on mediums, and he's on brand new mediums. So not only is he on the faster tyre, he's on the fresher tyre. And this tyre should last to the end of the race. It lasted for Schluter in that first stint, which has allowed him to get younger hard compound tyres in. Top 8 comes out 1.4 seconds behind Lucas Beisner, who has actually dropped off that battle. 1.3 seconds to Kryzix ahead of him. And Top 8 will just be hoping to close that gap as soon as possible. He'll be hoping to get past. Look at that gaining that he's making. It's 2 tenths in a single corner, twice in a row. And it's not like Lucas Beisner, it's not like he's got a lack of pace. It's just Top 8. He's been waiting for this moment. For 23 laps, Sixten Linhart comes into the pit, and Top 8 sets a purple second sector. But he's been waiting for this moment all race long. This is where the strategy comes into play. You have to make overtakes, and you have to send those overtakes. And Top 8 gets through into P8. A simple DRS overtake. In the end it was. He didn't quite make it into the DRS of Kryzix. Looking where Sixten Linhart's going to come out, it's going to be behind, even possibly not quite. It's going to be behind Lucas Beisner, almost behind Tim Tornemo, who's going to look to give him a fight. Harry Nuns as well, the 2 NLR drivers, who will be looking to give a fight. There's a yellow flag out. Givadar retires from the session. Safety car is out. Safety car comes out for the incident for Givadar. This changes things. This will change things. Drivers who just... That... If FVR had waited just one more lap, just 2 more laps in the case of Top 8, that would have been the perfect strategy, because they would have been on top with brand new mediums, ready to storm off into the distance instead. They will have to watch drivers come into the pits. Protesi, CZK, Pulkis, all of those most likely are going to come in. We're going to have to watch. Yeah, they are. They are coming in. And they're going to come in their droves. This is where the holding up thing is going to become a problem. Whoever your teammate is going to become a problem. The 2 FVR drivers come out in the lead. And we can just watch as the drama unfolds. Gabrielli comes out of the pit box pretty clean. He's out and through. Tristan Derbicourt and Lighty, who pitted on that previous lap, they've gone into 3rd and 4th. So it's not been... Givadar said that he was taken out. It's been a good race for Tristan Derbicourt and Lighty. It's an alright... We'll have to wait and see, essentially. They would have liked to come in to get those brand new mediums. I know it's only a couple of laps. Oh, he was out on... Oh, he was taken out on lap 8. Never mind then. Ignore me. But everybody's going to catch up. It's going to be pretty snappy for everybody to catch up. Because of how tightly knit the field is, it's going to be pretty easy for everybody to catch up. The biggest gap we've got on track at the moment is B. Lupip, who's 9 seconds behind Lucas Beisner, who's almost caught up, so that 9 seconds will drop dramatically as they catch the field. I don't think I've used the F8 and F7 keys as much as I have in this race, because, well, there has been lots of action going on up and down the grid. I really need to set keybinds for the drivers, like the ones at the top, the ones in the middle. I will get on that hopefully before I commentate next in CSS. Obviously, your regular commentator Frostbreath is not here tonight, and so, well, I hope I'm doing a decent job filling in. I'm sure he'll be back next week. But why is it not working anymore? There we go. I think I only mentioned my F8, F7 and F8 keys because they started to be a little bit sticky, which is interesting. So, but yeah, they have track position. And I'm going to throw this open to the chat. Who is going to win this race? If
that's not interrupting your conversations at all. I'm quite enjoying watching whatever's going on in chat. I think Top A is still in a great position if he managed those tyres. If he manages those tyres well, Top A is in an incredible position. We're going to have the safety car come in this lap. We've got 10 laps of running. And we will hopefully see, well, we will see a driver come out on top. The safety car is going to come in at the end of this lap. Top A becomes the leader of the pack. His beautiful pink car shining ahead of a sea of black. And he puts the power down. We're going again in Brazil. We've got 10 laps to go in this race. And FVR have nailed this start. Top A is going to lead. It's going to be everybody following through apart from Mark Schluter, who's side by side. There's contact between himself and Jay Kennedy as they headed out of the S's. Kryzix looked to be involved in that fight momentarily. Jay Kennedy looking in front of him rather than behind at Pulkis. Not making that move, although the NLR drivers are trying to make moves. Harry Nunn's pulled out and ahead of Kryzix ahead of him. All of these drivers following suit. They know that there will be opportunities. Drivers will make mistakes. They're trying to push as hard as they can for the final 10 laps. Almost a mistake there from Galonier going into the back of Lighty. He avoided such an incident. By the way, fair play to him because he's come back up from a little spin that he had earlier in this section. He's in P5 at the moment. And it's not like Niels Koolen in the Monza race the other day. It's not like he's only there because he didn't pit. He did pit. And he's come out on merit in P5. But it could be P6 as soon as turn 1. I could be made to eat my words by Gabriele Patesi, the leader of those who pitted under the safety car. And indeed, he is a huge send into the first corner. And Patesi begins his fight back up the order. Galonier is not going to give it up without a fight. But he's going to have to. And Gabriele, with the pace that he's shown so far this race, possibly the quickest driver out on track on a consistent basis, he's going to have to fight his way back from down in P6. He's made that one position up, but he's got a lot to go, because getting past these drivers isn't as easy as it sounds, because they're pretty much identically quick to you. You have to find somewhere, some advantage, some mistake you have to pounce on in order to get up and ahead. And that is the problem that these drivers are going to find. Except the top two. They don't need to get past anybody because they're teammates. And 1-2 for FVR would really, really help them. They find themselves in P5 in the standings at the moment. But a 1-2 would completely blow that out of the water. It would throw them up and into the battle for probably P3, maybe even P2 in the standings. And if they can keep results like this up, they will be able to fight for that championship. Considering as well that TF10, not the greatest race so far. Jay Kennedy in 9th, Lucas Beisner in 14th. So points still, but not quite the same as they would have been hoping for. So it's a smaller points tally than those behind, who are going to be looking to catch up. Although those in second, NLR, they could have had the opportunity to catch up today. 13th and 11th, not quite the advantage they would have been wanting to take. But it's for this race is for FBR. This race is for ZNT. Those two and CPI as well could come into it if they show the pace in this last stint. They showed the pace in the first stint. The second stint, not quite as much as they would have liked. But this third stint, they'll be looking to try and replicate those memories of that first stint. Harry Nuns picks up a 3-second time penalty, just adding to NLR's woes today. Sizeke did pull out to the inside line. Pulkis, Galonier blocked it off. Beisner gets past Kryzix into P13, and it's side by side as they head up the hill. It could be contact. It's not quite contact
as they head through Kryzik. Inside line for the ABS man and P13 for the ABS man. Not quite showing the pace that he, again, not quite showing the pace that he did in the first stint. That could be said for a lot of drivers. For Beissner, for Schluter, for Pulkis, for CZK. But throughout it all, the two FVR drivers have just been so consistent at the top. At the top A, should I say. Tell you what, if they took a 1-2 and it was the 16th race of the season, I would go absolutely balmy for that one. I love a little bit of wordplay, but unfortunately it is not. It is round. It's round 5, so we're almost there. But no, they're working well together. This is the point that I'm trying to make. I'm distracting myself, but they're working incredibly well together is the point I'm trying to make. Even if their tyres do drop off and you get a little bit more of a drop off, with the mediums than the hards. Even if they do drop off, they've got Tristan Derbicourt and Lighty behind that can act as a little bit of a cushion. Galonier as well, a little bit of a cushion. The only one that he's not protecting is Pratesi, who could come back and come into this race strong. As I said before, he's been quick. Last couple of laps, he's been conserving. And this could be the lap where he gets past Lighty. He got a good exit off the final corner. Lighty doesn't have the slipstream of Tristan Derbicourt as strong as he has over the last couple of laps. The leaders has changed, and P4 could change as well. Pratesi sending it, almost looking down the inside of Derbicourt as well. Not quite going for the move, but DRS will be his friend as he heads down to the Descida de Largo, not making the move, but a very steady progress with 4 laps to go. Pratesi, don't rule him out just yet, because that could bite you back. Top A is coming under pressure from Tristan Derbicourt, who was under a 10th behind, not making the move, but he is ready to fight. Sixton, though, is ready to protect Top A at all costs. The teamwork, I've mentioned this before, I'll mention it again, and I'll probably mention it a few more times. The teamwork between these two has been impeccable. And it's only the fact that they came in a lap before the safety car, which they couldn't have predicted. That's the only blemish in their race so far. Because they've just been on top. Tristan Derbicourt, though, looking to race, looking to split the two FBR drivers for the first time. It's going to be 3 wide into turn 1. Derbicourt with the inside line. The outside goes to Sixton. And Top 8 gets squeezed out in the middle. Derbicourt and Linhard make contact. Linhard heads back through. Top 8's going to try to make his way through as well. The slipstream is available to him. So he does make it through. Derbicourt, though, he made his presence known. And he made it clear to the FBR boys that he is willing to fight, and willing to fight hard with them, as we've got 3 laps left, 3 full running laps of this race. It's definitely not decided, because you've got the 2 FBR drivers at the top. Just incredible pace all race long, all weekend long. Derbicourt and Pratesi. I've been trying not to say Pratesi all race long. I know it's Pratesi. But these two are looking racy behind them. Lighty just waiting in the wings. 3 seconds worth of penalties isn't going to help him. And that also gives a cushion to the top 4. Freedom to fight for the top 4. Further back as well, Schluter makes up another position. He made up a position on Jay Kennedy on the last lap. And CZK now falls victim to it. Up into P8 for Schluter. He is the lone man for ET8 in the points. Kennedy gets past CZK. The drivers that could have been fighting for the race victory, had it not been for that safety car, are now fighting for the middle echelons of the points. CZK loses out another position. Tim Tornamo goes through. Here comes Harry Nuns out of nowhere. Side by side as they head into the second S's. But Harry just doesn't have that line. And so he falls behind Kryzik as well. Looking at him. Doesn't make the move. Galonier now almost falling behind Pulkis, who's coming out of nowhere. Pulkis gets through, but the final corner is contact between Galonier and Pulkis. As Pulkis just tried to take that inside line, Galonier did not want to give him any space, and that has opened up a battle. A battle that is led by Mark Schluter. Jay Kennedy and Galonier were racing. Tornemo's fighting. There's a contact once again. Tornemo. And who's that? That's Galonier again, who's dropped down the order. P16 for him. And he's missing an end plate as well. It sort of looked like that was going to go wrong at some point, and indeed it did. An end plate has gone off for the ZNT driver, and all of his hard work has just been undone once again. His teammate, though, his hard work is going to pay dividends. At the moment, he's in the podium positions, but he wants more. P3 at the moment for the ZNT driver, but he made a move, or almost made a move, on Tope a couple of laps ago. He almost made a move on Linhart as well. And as we head on to the final lap of this Grand Prix, it's all to be decided. That's a car going around again of Fabian Marksteiner. We head round the final time. We head across the line for the penultimate time. It's not the final time. I don't know what I'm talking about. It's the penultimate time. But to the inside goes Tristan Derbicourt. This is an ambitious move. And there's contact between himself. Round he goes. He was ambitious. He wanted that P2. But now he could find himself almost out of the points. P14 is where he's going to find himself. ZNT's race has come unstuck with in just the space of a couple of laps. Tope has nothing left to give, and Pratesi gets past. Lighty is looking to get past as well. Pratesi wants to get that P1. He's made that move on Tope. He's split the FVR drivers for pretty much the first time this race. He's pretty much the only driver as well who's split them since the first pit stops, since they didn't come in. And Tim Tornemo picks up a 3-second time penalty in the meantime in the lower echelons of the points, but Sixten Linhart through the last breaking point of the track. It's still not over, as Pratesi will have DRS, but it will be difficult for him to fight back from 6/10 back. Sixten Linhart is going to win this race here in Brazil. He takes victory. Pratesi in second. Tope taking third, almost stealing that second place off him. Then it's chaos behind as penalties do rack up. Even if you got 3 seconds, that would put you down in about, well, Harry Nuns and Jeremy Galonier and Harry Nuns, Tristan Derbicourt and Jay Kennedy have found out that penalties and contact just throws you down the order. Even a little bit of contact, a little 3-second time penalty, that could ruin your entire race. That's something that neither of the FBR drivers fell foul to today. What an incredible race they had. They dominated from lights to flag, and it was only an ambitious move into turn 1 from Tristan Derbicourt that cost them an easy 1-2. Not Tristan Derbicourt. Well, technically it was that move from Tristan Derbicourt that cost them the 1-2, because it allowed Gabriele Pratesi to sneak through into that P2. And, well, the Italian will be, well, he'll count himself lucky. He'll count his lucky stars. But the ABS driver fully deserved that second place, just as the FBR drivers deserved that top 2. Sixten Linhart started 8th. So the fact that he was able to fight his way up is incredible. Lighty, with 3 seconds worth of penalties, still able to finish in P4 with Mark Schluter in P5. Then it's CZK, Pulkis, Lucas Beisner, Kryzix. Those 5 know that they could have done better with their race today. Then it's Passy, Derbicourt, Kennedy, Nuns, Galonier, Gino Tornemo, B. Lupip, Mark Steiner, and Christian Lubinov was the last finisher, with Givadar being the only retirement. I hope you've enjoyed this race just as much as I have. If you have, make sure to give the stream a like, to give Competitive Speed Series a subscribe. You can follow us on Twitter as well. You can follow myself on Twitter as well, KOTKS. You can pretty much find me on any platform at all. But thank you all very much for joining me this evening. I hope you've enjoyed it. And goodbye.